Hello everyone, thank you for joining me today. My name is Micah and I'm with the R.W. Norton Art Gallery's Education Department. I, like many of you, am at home with my nephew and I have been looking for activities to keep us occupied during this period of isolation. One of the activities that we have done is one that we do at the museum often with many groups that come and visit with us, and the activity is making of a mini art gallery. Today I'd like to share that activity with you and then let my nephew Matthew come and show you what he has created. The materials that you'll need for this activity is cardstock, index cards, with some construction paper, scissors, some adhesive, either glue or tape, some markers, crayons, or you can just use pencils and pens. And then as well as some random shapes. You can use pennies, quarters, blocks, anything that you want, or they can just freehand it. So at the end of this, you will have an actual gallery in which they can put art on the wall and then be able to tell you about what it is that they've created. So the way that this process works is you're going to take the cardstock, fold it in half, increase it, take it, increase it one more time, and when you're done, open it back up. You should have 4 parts. Take the 4 parts, and the kids can do this, and you can give them instructions, is to number them 1, 2, 3, and 4. I like to number them just so it keeps me and who I'm working with clear about which part that we're working on. Then you're going to take some scissors, and you're going to cut the sections between 3 and 4. So cut up all the way to the center. And then when you're done, you should see that it kind of folds over. And then this is going to be our actual gallery that we're going to work on. We're not going to glue it or tape it as of yet because it makes it easier for the kids to work on it while it's still a flat piece. But this lets them see what they're going to be creating. So in our gallery, what we would like to do is create the 2 walls and the floor. And our walls are a little bit plain right now, so we can take some construction paper that we have, and we're just going to glue the construction paper to sections 1 and 2. You can also have the kids just color on in, but I like using the construction paper because it's just a lot nicer and it kind of gives a nice little finish at the end. So I'm going to take my glue stick and again have the kids put glue in the 4 corners and in the center, and then glue that to the first section. And then do the same thing for the second wall, section 2. Again, glue in the 4 corners and in the middle, and just have them glue that down. And then again, you can have them folded until where now we have 2 walls that are now colored. So they're a little bit nicer than just the beige walls. Now that we have our walls, we also want to do something with our floor. And what I like to do is tell them that our floor is actually going to be number 3 is going to overlap on number 4. And so the floors are a little bit plain, and I like to remind them that when you walk into a lot of places that the floors have some type of pattern on there. And so what I want, or I've had the kids do, is create a pattern on the floor. Again, they can do this free-handed and just draw whatever pattern they want, but I like to have the kids draw or trace patterns. And so this is like a tessellation, which is a repeated pattern. And so they take any shape that they want, use pennies or quarters where they draw a bunch of circles on there. my nephew chose this, and so I just asked them to place it down on the floor and grab a pencil or marker, and then they just start creating their pattern and tracing it. And so by the end of this, you're basically creating floor tiles. And so I have them go through and create fairly quickly. It takes them a little while to get this part done, but I'll show you the idea. And so they'll go through and create their patterns on the floor. And then when they're done, and this does get onto the floor, you can see there, this entire thing will be filled with a pattern. And of course, they can color that in. So open this back up. Now that we have color on our wall, and we have patterns on our floor, our next thing that we'd like to do is create some art to go onto the wall. I tend to like to create a theme for the galleries, and so for this past one, what we talked about with my nephew is what a portrait is. And so a portrait is just an image of basically the art pieces focused on the person and the expressions that they make. And so the index card is what we're going to draw on. So we're going to take the index card and just fold it in half and then cut it. And this gives you a good canvas, blank canvases for them to draw on. And it's a little bit stiffer than just regular paper, but if you don't have index cards, you can use regular paper. And then that is going to eventually get glued onto the walls. And of course, they can either both have landscape, or you can have them draw it one portrait, one landscape to give some variety. It's up to the kids. So for the first one, I asked them to draw is a portrait. And so here's my portrait that I drew earlier. So you're going to take your portrait and glue it to your first wall. Glue it down. And what I like to have them do is that the portrait is great when it's glued to your wall, but I also like to have them tell me about themselves. And so in this particular case, what we want them to do is write a little bit of information or a text panel. And so I have them take the index card that we've cut, and if you notice on one side it has lines and the other side is blank. The blank side is what we use as a canvas. On the other side, what I ask them to do is to write a little bit about themselves, put their name and then maybe the date they were born, and tell me in a quick sentence something about like what they like to do or about them. And so that gets completed. I'm going to write my name and a little something. I like to play video games. And of course, making sure that the kids know capitalization and period depending on how young they are. Then I take that proper sentence structure, and I'm going to glue it to the back side of my picture. And now what we have is our portrait on our wall and a little text panel telling me about our portrait. And of course we have another wall that's over here, and of course we take another index card, cut it in half, and we're going to create another picture that can go on here. In this case, I'd like the kids to be a little bit more creative, and so I've asked my nephew while we were doing this today is if this is a portrait of you, what I like to do is you illustrate what you like to do, so more about the setting and the scene in which you would be in and what you would be doing. And so he repeated the process over here, and of course, after he was done, I asked him to describe what you were doing in the scene. So writing down on the text panel, writing down what you like to do, and of course we glue that to the back. When all that is done, we then take our gallery, we fold it, and then take a little bit of tape, and we're going to tape it together to keep it from falling apart. Put it there. The other side. What we have is our gallery. And so you'll have two images or pieces of art, and of course there'll be a little bit of writing that goes on the back, text panels that tell us about the card. If you have Play-Doh or any type of model magic, I also like to have them create a sculptural piece or something 3D to go on the floor. And so you just take some model magic or Play-Doh and you ask them to create whatever they'd like about an object that they have drawn or something about them, and then they create that and then they put it into or add it to the center as a sculptural piece. This is a perfect little activity. It takes, depending on how much you're going to go into it, maybe about an hour to complete. And then when you're done, Matthew, can you come over here? Yeah. We have completed. Come join me. This is my nephew Matthew, and this is the product that he had created. And this is his little Lego man that I like to have him put in here to give us a little bit of sense of scale. I'm not sure if I can add your Lego man in there very well. And then, of course, at the end of all of this, the purpose is that we have a little bit of a gallery walk, and that he tells about his creation. I can get your guy to stand up. Can you hold on to him? Can you tell us a little bit about your creation and what you created? What is this?
I created myself, and I made and I did what I wanted, what I liked, what I wanted, what my favorite thing was.
And then what is this portrait or this image over here on the right of your portrait?
It's a picture of our living room.
And what did you write about what you drew?
My dog was lying on the couch. I was playing VR, which my VR set is already all the way over there, and my uncle was just now walking in, and he was watching the show.
And what did you create in the center?
I created a chair.
You created a chair.
A couch.
And then, how did you like this activity?
It was very good.
It was really good. This activity is really easy to do, and then at the end of this, we are probably going to create multiples of these and create a little mini gallery in which then he can go through and take his little minifigures and walk through his own museum. And so each gallery will have a theme. And so in this particular one, the theme is about him. And another gallery that we'll probably do, we're going to work on exaggerations, and that has to do with the book that I asked him to read and doing.
Mouse
not mouse paint.
the other one with the.
Yeah, Pecos Bill's Rides a Tornado and exaggerated images. I don't know where you put it. We do hope that you enjoyed this activity. Please, if you create this activity, take a picture of it and share it on Facebook and let us know what you thought. Please stay safe while out there, and have a good day. Thank you.